Welcome back to a special episode in my heart. And it has only just dawned on me that I've been sat here the whole time while the countdown was supposed to be running, and I didn't start it off. So you get a free insight into precisely what it is that I get up to during the countdown, which isn't a great deal. Welcome to board. Nice hat. Wanting to buy one for me as well. Yeah, get it done. Get it done. We are in the ceremonial deerstalker room. Like that's for business. That's for party time. Um, yeah, but it's a struggle to get it to fit really, and this doesn't go down, so I kind of just look like the tweed version of a Teletubby at this stage, which isn't exactly the look that I'm going for. Okay, but yes, welcome. This is season 2, episode 21. Just call me hands in. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Season 2, episode 21. I don't know which way that's coming out for you, if it's reading properly or invert or whatever it is, but we are at 221 of an episode. Now, I will have to count all of the episodes to see if we actually get to a 221st episode to see how that is. But welcome. We're all here. We're all here. So it was supposed to be last week, right? But to paraphrase Jack Sparrow, problems arose, ensued, and took a bit of time to be overcome. So by the time that they were overcome, day before yesterday, I figured we'd just leave it for today. And so here we are, right? And since we're not quite in the millions in terms of our viewership, I figured it was easy to just let it roll over, and there's no studios barreling down our kind of timetable and the like. But we're here. So, right, the reason I consider this a special episode is not only because well, look at me, I'm a massive dog, right? Is mostly because this stuff wouldn't exist without you. So I want to hear from you in terms of what do you want from this podcast, right? I have ideas coming out of my ears in terms of volume, size, splendor, and color for how this is going to go moving forwards, right? But these are my ideas. Just because they're my ideas doesn't necessarily mean that you guys will enjoy them, right? So talk to me. You know what we do here. You know what we talk about. And when I say we, I just mean me and the rest of the voices that exist in my head and you guys. Because, unless my dog learns to speak or my wife decides to join us again, it is just me. Right? It is just me. Right? Like we'll see if we can get Adam back for a special episode. See about all the things he's done since he left. Right? But I want to hear from you guys. I mean, not right now. Obviously, this is the live stream, so there isn't as many of you here as there is that listens to this over the course of the next week. But what do you guys want to hear from the Deductionist podcast? Do you want to detail some true crime events? You want to detail some more techniques, some more skill set opportunities, some more training opportunities? Right. One of the things that I thought would be fun is well, just a side note, I have my weekly training group, my real life Sherlock group, where we meet once a week on a Saturday over the course of a year for training together. And because year 1 is coming to the end, I'm going to be starting year 2 again soon. So there'll be enrollment opportunities for new folks that want to jump on. Of course, if you jump on this time, you will have to take year 1 and year 2 at the same time, but year 1's already done, so I can send you out all the stuff for that anyway. But what I thought might be interesting, and I haven't even asked them guys yet. It was just something that occurred to me today. if we get those people in for an Ask Them Anything? Right? I thought that might be interesting. Inevitably in these situations, the ask me anything is done from the person that runs it. It's not about me in these situations. So I thought it might be fun for you guys to be able to ask any questions that you want to the people that actually train with me, right? To see what kind of fun stuff it is that we get up to on a daily basis, but on a weekly basis is the more formal accounts of these types of things. So, what do you think about that? Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Is that just an idea? It is like Schrodinger's idea at this stage. We have to film it in order to know whether it is that it's a good or a bad one. It's not necessarily a physics joke. It's not necessarily a joke because I'm the only person that found that funny. So yeah, what do you guys want out of this? Right? If it is that I am just sat here and you are whiling away the hours conferring with the flowers and consulting with the rain, Wizard of Oz, um, what is it that you want from this experience? Be loud, be proud. In all walks of your life, but particularly with the Deductionist podcast, right? What is it that you want from listening to this? What do you want more of? What do you want less of? Right? What do you want less of out of this experience? Might be a good question as well, because I've got a bunch of mentalists that I've yet to interview. There's a friend of mine whose new book is coming out soon, a mentalist, of which the last few chapters he tells me are particularly uh, geared towards people in my neck of the woods. So therefore, we can get him on. Well, I can ask him, see if that's anything that he does. Um, it's a cool idea. Here we go. Cool idea, but I wanted to see what I wanted to see personally is more trading tips, especially practical tips. For me, it's nice to have more niche things like shoelaces and all. Okay, good to know. Good to know. An episode on shoelaces, right? That will be good for about me bored and statistically like maybe three other people. Right, that's fun as well. I think I'm going to do the ask them anything episode, regardless of interest anyway, because I think that would be a fun um, putting their money where their mouth is episode. Anyway, now that I'm thinking about this more as we talk, as well, again we talk as I talk to myself, and you listen. Here it is, right? We've we're entering into the 12th month of the training. The first week of the last month starts this Saturday, and it is 4 weeks of testing. Bear in mind they went through 4 weeks of testing in month 10. Then we did another month of training materials. That one was about animals and the specific observations, details, and data therein. And then we're moving into some pretty full on testing. And that's one of the things that I kind of hold myself to account on. The kind of tests that I create for them are tests that I would want to take, tests that I make for myself in these particular training situations that I end up in, right? Because after all, these elements need to translate something quirky that you hear in a podcast, or something interesting that you might hear online, right? I want it to be actionable data and actionable details for you. And so I'm fleshing this out with you. I'm thinking about this right now as we go. Is is this an idea where we can have them in and you guys can set them challenges? You guys can set them. Ooh, yes, I like this. You guys can set them challenges. So you guys can pass or fail them on whatever it is. Oh, yes. This is a fun idea. I like this. Oh, just call me hen. Let's have a look, love. What have you got? I think that's a great idea because it would give new people an idea of what they will learn, as well get to hear from people that have attended and how the experience has been for them. Totally, totally right. And that's one of the things that I like about the group. We spent a year together, right? We spent a year together, so we have a good enough rapport where I know they'll tell you guys the truth. Right, one of the things that you should know from this experience is I'm not a salesman. I'm not a salesman. I'll tell you what works. I'll tell you what doesn't. I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I know. I'll tell you what I don't. Right, and you make your own mind up from that. Right, you'll never see a sales tactic. You'll never see a buy now, and if you do this, that kind of QVC bullshit. I mean, I might run offers, but that's just reminded me of something else I want to tell you about as well in a minute. Not necessarily an offer, but kind of a game I want to play. Kind of a game I want to play. Okay, so um, I'm going to do that. Right. So if you want to, yeah, I have an email address for the podcast that we set up eons ago. It is, stand by, J Hamish Watson 221 at outlook.com. J Hamish Watson 221 at outlook.com. If you have any challenges, send them in, whatever they are. Take a picture of a shoe, profile a person from it, a video of some kind of surrounding where you are, ask them a question about it, right? The only stipulation and this has been the stipulation throughout, the only stipulation is that whatever question you ask, you have to know the answer to, or at least have some connection towards, right? Because otherwise it's just speculative pissing in the wind observations. There's no way of knowing one way or the other where the trainable elements are. So every video that I've tested them on, every case, every photo, every question, everything, I have the answers to. That way, when they're actually using these skills in these real world scenarios that we end up in, they actually have a barometer for how it is that they're doing, right? So don't ask them a question when it's not something that you know the answer to, because they could say anything and then you're forced to either go, yeah, that sounds right, or I agree with you, or I don't, that sounds great. It becomes a connection to a different discipline. Then it becomes about debating points and how good of an argument you can make, this type of thing. So anything anyone wants to send in, J Hamish Watson 221 at outlook.com. And yeah, but you're exactly right. It is an old email, um, because it's the one I set up when we first started the podcast, me and Adam. So that is years ago. And because we've never really done any kind of email in, we'll do questions from the we've never done any of that stuff, so the email just kind of remained there. It kind of remained there. Um, but yeah, um, not at all bored. It is when it says Hotmail. It's all Outlook is current. Again, I'm with you on that one, Hen. I'm with you on that one. My first email address was it's defunct now, so you can't even get access to it. So I don't even mind telling you what it was. It was a Bill Bailey quote. It was that's not suitable at hotmail.co.uk. So that was old. Um, but I am old, or at least getting older every day. I've always said that the first 40 years of childhood will be the best, and I'm getting dangerously close to running that out. Well, to finally admit that I am actually an adult. So yes, let's do that. Any questions, any challenges, anything, whatever it is, make sure it's appropriate because we have to video this kind of stuff, and it's going to end up as a monthly subscription that you can get on Omniscient Insights, my training platform. So make sure that any tests that you send in are appropriate because we are fonder of a cheekier, of a darker sense of humor, and whereas I will enjoy the concept of the challenge, however inappropriate it is. I can't necessarily put this to video afterwards. So that's kind of the groundwork. Anything that you send has to be appropriate for viewing at any time of the day, not just after the watershed, and it has to be a question that you know the answer to. Right? It has to be a question that you know the answer to. So yeah, I'm kind of glad I said that out loud now because that's fleshed out into an interesting idea. I like that. And then, of course, if nobody sends anything in out of all of you guys, if you don't send anything in, totally fine. It's not like I don't have a wealth of challenges for them to get through. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Um, I still use my Hotmail account for junk and friends, and my most recent professional looking email is Outlook. Nice, nice. Well, I may have kind of given the wrong impression with Outlook, so I created that maybe uh, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, not that long ago. In the in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, it's just kind of sat there gathering electronic dust by now. Okay, so here's the other thing I wanted to tell you about with the kind of not really an offer, but kind of an offer. It seems like there is this this trend online where people give away their wares to kind of, you know, comment this and like and follow and you'll be entered into the channel draw for I don't care about it. You can follow the podcast. It'd be great. It helps me out. But if you don't want to, say la vie. I'd rather you just listen and enjoy if it is that you do. Anyway, but that's by the by. I'm not gonna give you anything. Right? You're gonna have to earn it. You're gonna have to earn it. And I'm thinking what I'll do is I will set up a page with a reduced price on a good reduced price. So it's still just stupid, but I'm going to make you work for it, right? I mean, it will be up to you if you follow through on it. Whatever afterwards, you can just enjoy the puzzle and then go and do your thing afterwards. So Pipes 2 is available on Omniscient Insights, and this is one of my courses on developing the skills of Sherlock Holmes. And what I thought I was going to do was try and set up some kind of game like how me and Adam did the online escape room. Which, if you don't know what that is, the link will be in the description somewhere when this goes out on the Friday. But you know, they have those kind of one word or word and number emoji. I don't know. I've not played with the parameters of it. Um, Offer codes that you can create. Right, use this code and get 10% discount. Right. What I'm thinking I might do is set a riddle challenge whereby there'll be a one-word answer, and the one-word answer will be the offer code that will get you a bucket um, off the Pipes 2 program. Right. Well, one, just because that would be that would be a thing that I would get involved in because I'm that kind of a dork. Um, I, you know, I love to put my money where my mouth is. Doesn't always work. Doesn't always work. There was a period with it in the papers a few years ago when I was interviewed when my web series came out, and as we're talking away, this guy randomly says, his name is Richard Alt. He randomly says, what's two down and three over on the coffee machine in terms of the buttons, the coffee machine behind. And I I gave him the one for three down, two over instead. I got confused and got it backwards. So, it doesn't always go to plan, but I love those moments where you really have to work for something, really proverbially put your money where your mouth is. And so that if you'll see if you got the riddle right. When the offer code you put in reveals the percentages, so it will act like a kind of tester page. And to the best of my knowledge, you don't get a number of tries where you can try as many times as you want to try and figure this out, and then once you get it, the page will update to show you some percentage. You don't have to follow through from there if you don't want to. If the product doesn't interest you, it doesn't interest you. But that seems like a fun game to me, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And when this goes out tomorrow, if you want to go and find the uh, 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 the riddle page, the link will be in the description below. But for you guys watching tonight live, it's not going to be there because I haven't made it yet. um, but I wanted something to ring in this 221 episode of gloriousness, because I've always tried to give back to the Sherlockian community as much as I possibly can. Granted, nowadays I spend most of my time in the policing communities and training communities and all of these types of things. Um, but yeah, so let's do that. I think that would be fun. Uh, Man, it's so good to have someone to test you. My parents used to, but since I'm living alone, I don't know what to do. Oh, mate, there's so many tests that you can come up with for yourself on the fly. So many tests. It just depends on what preventative measures you want to go through to make sure how strict they are or not. Right? I mean, I look at all of the videos that Adam used to test me on. Right? Family isn't the limit of the people that can test you, because there's going to be more people in your life. The basics of a test in any form when it comes to auctions, be it deduction, induction, or abduction, the basic form is answering a question that you don't know the answer to that someone else does. That's it. Right? That's it. You know, if you've ever watched a talk show or a chat show, pause. What happens next? See if you're right. If you're ever watching a murder mystery or a whodunit, see how early on you can figure out who did it or what's happening. Right? Um, I tried that last the most recent one that I tried that with was Glass Onion, and that's got to be a couple of years ago now. And I recorded that, um, because these are the fun programs that you can go down. And when I mean programs, I mean when I say programs, I mean programs of training. Right? If there is an answer that you don't have, but you have the question, that's prime for this skill. It's prime for this skill. The only differentiation around that is the quality that you deem the challenge to be. Right? Like, I work behind one of those stand-up tables, so this is an electronic table. So, like, if I were to press this button, it goes up, and I'm still sat in the chair. If I press this button, it goes down. Right? And I was working away on some products for my security company earlier, and it was maybe I don't know, 9-10 hours ago, something like that. The time doesn't matter, but I pressed the table up. My wife shouts from upstairs, "Does that mean you're going to use the bathroom?" Right? That's not just an excuse for he's going to use the bathroom as a shower, but you know, it's not just an excuse for that. That was a moment where my wife heard the noise of a table and connected it to an action in the house because she wanted a shower as well. Right? That was prime for inductive reasoning, and she jumped on it. The only way that we stop doing that is if we deem it too easy or unworthy of the skill set. We want some murder mystery to solve. Not so. The moments that keep our skill set sharp is in these daily opportunities. So I say again, anything that you don't have the answer to, you can use these skills for if somebody else has the answer, right? I mean, if they don't, it becomes inductive reasoning, and then how are you going to validate, dismiss, or clarify to find out? But like anything, if you like, if you're in England, if you're putting the kettle on for someone, trying to figure out what they want and how they want it, as in white coffee, 2 sugar, sweetener, kind of milk, all that kind of thing. There are profilable elements connected to it, right? If you go out to a restaurant with somebody, how they are looking at the menu, ask them to pick something in their head and try to figure out what it is. Right? If there's multiple people in the restaurant, memorize the menu, then ask them to tell you what it is that they're having and tot up the price before the bill gets there. Anything can become a test or a challenge if it is that you think about it. And the only way that anything stops becoming a test or a challenge is if you deem it unworthy or silly, or some kind of cognitive bias arises its ugly head, which isn't proper English. I meant to say rears its ugly head. So, the main takeaways from this point. What do you guys want to see from the podcast? Year 2 of the Real Life Sherlock group is starting soon. I'll be advertising more about that. So if you want to join us, that's where all the information will be. There is also a kind of riddle challenge for you to get involved in. And if you don't want to, don't. It's just a bit of fun, which the internet doesn't seem to be nowadays. Everyone was going insane and just spewing anger and text-ridden bile all over everyone. It's just a bit of fun, guys. It's just a bit of fun. And at the end of the day, this is happy 221 podcast day. To us, you did it. You survived 2 seasons, 21 episodes. Congratulations. Here's to many more, because I enjoy them, and I hope that you guys enjoy them too. And with that in mind, I shall love you and leave you sincerely. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you have. And I'll see you again.